Good morning, good morning, good morning, and Happy New Year! This is my first YT Live for 2026. Oh my goodness. We made it back. We made it through 2025, and we are taking on 2026. Okay. Um, what did you guys do for New Year's? I'm gonna tell you what, my New Year was really, really quiet. And that's what I kind of desired. I have found myself having more quiet New Year's throughout the years as I've gotten older, as my children have gotten older. My kids will go and hang out with their friends, and I kind of just do my own little thing at home, watch some documentaries, do the countdown, and take my tail to sleep. Um, I had been invited to a friend's house, to my friend's house. They were going to be playing games and, just doing their thing. However, because I have my new puppy, Prince Michael Jackson, and he's not quite ready to be around the small children. We still are training. He just started school. Yay, he's doing so good. But we just started training school. So I want to get him a little more prepared before I have him around small children because he's still a puppy. And we at least need him to be able to listen to some cues, right? Because we don't want him doing anything scaring the kids. Okay. We don't want him doing that. So, with that being said, I spent my New Year's home. We did officially kick off my Glow Up Network. Okay. Glow Up Network is live. And so I will be recruiting other people to join. We are learning and growing together. Okay. That is the fundamental basics of my agency is brand new creators, brand new live creators that are looking for a small boutique agency. Uh-oh, hold on. Let me get you up here real quick. Yeah, there we go. And we're looking to just do this thing together, right? There we go. There we go. I had some feedback. Um, so let's get into it. Let's get into it, honey. I hope y'all got your coffee or your tea. I have some tea. That is what I am drinking in my cup. And actually, it's not, it's my homemade tea. So do you know I've started to just squeeze lemon and lime into my cup and then do some hot water. Let me tell you, this is good for your digestive system. This is good for, your throat, especially in the wintertime. I think in the wintertime, even with me working from home, I don't really have to leave the house as often as I used to, especially in the wintertime, honey. I'm like a little bear. However, because of the change in temperatures, even in the house, right? We had 50-degree temperatures where I could turn my heat off. So even with that being said, you can kind of find yourself um with a like scratchy throat. So I'm saying this little hot lemon and lime water. Right now it's just lemons. I ran out of lime, but I usually do lemon and lime. However, good for your digestive system. Good to keep your throat clear, right? Free from like the little scratchies. And of course, since I'm gonna be sitting here talking to y'all all day, I definitely need to start my day off with this hot cup of tea. Okay. Let me take a sip. All right. Mm, so good. I love it. With that being said, let me make sure I can get over here to the comments. So listen, y'all. I'm gonna put them up on the stage. Let me type in really quick. Let me know. Let me know what you guys are rating this episode. You hear Prince Michael Jackson of Married to Medicine. Okay, let me know in the comments. What are we rating this week's episode of Married to Medicine? We are season 12, episode 5. Hold on, y'all. Pause. I'm gonna just go ahead and let Prince out. I thought he was sleeping. He was sleeping by my foot while I was doing some work. And so I thought he would be ready to go in his crate. Clearly, because I'm talking, he's like, hey girl, I'm not asleep. Hold on, give me a second. Now, I'm only doing it this time. This don't mean that you're going to be able to get out because you burnt. You better be. That'll be why you do that. Get down. Get down. And that's his thing. And the first thing he want to do is get up on my counter. And then he go back to his crate and go get his bone. He's so funny. Okay, so listen, I'm live over on TT. We're doing a voice only, and I am live over here on YT. So we are going to start off with Married to Medicine, right? Season 12, episode 5, baggage check. So if you guys remember watching last week's episode, we know that there was the big blow up between Eugene and Toya, right? Really, it was Toya. Okay, Toya done cussed out everybody in the house, kicked them out from her housewarming party. Get down. Come on. Did you eat that lemon? I thought I eat your tail. Get down. Okay, messing up mommy's live already. And see, these are not going to be good edits. I'm going to have to. Let's start over. Okay. Happy New Year, guys. I hope you grabbed your cup of tea. I got mine. Let's take a sip. And let's just jump right into the episode. So, we're going to start off with Toya. That's how the episode opens up with Toya and Gene. Gene calls Toya to come downstairs. He want to play some pool, and he want to kind of talk about the housewarming party, the argument that they had in front of their whole cast and their friends, right? This is where last week Toya really did diminish Eugene, right? It was very disrespectful. That's the only word that I have for it. Maybe as we see in this scene, they seem to discuss the way that they communicate with each other. Listen, what I had in my note is not Eugenia. You see, that damn Dr. Heavenly. Eugene calls Toya out on her bullshit. And I said, but in his Eugene way. That's what I said. Eugene calls Toya out on her bullshit in his Eugene way, meaning soft-spoken, right? He handled her with care, which I think when we talk about husbands, partners, boyfriends, right? I always question the ladies about when they start to say mean things about some of the husbands, like Eugene. Dr. Heavenly coining him Eugenia, like as if he is feminine, right? And even some of what we saw between their argument, where she said, can you please be a leader and lead the men over this way? You know, that seemed to indicate that he was less than a leader. And I think if that's the way y'all communicate in private, that's fine. It is something to be said when you start to do that in public. And so now we have to have a different conversation. So shout out to Eugene for really just being a even keel man. I think as women, especially us women who are transitioning from a survival mode or survival mindset, I don't think that Toya has been in survivor mode for quite some time. Maybe for a little bit during the marriage, like when they had to pay their taxes back, that could have felt like survival. But the reason why I'm saying I don't think Toya has been in survival mode for quite some time is because she's been married to Eugene for almost 20 years, I think it is at this point, and she's not worked. So I feel like survivor mode, in a sense, for most of us women, what we identify with survivor mode is the women that are raising children, that are working, that, are just really have a lot of responsibilities on their plate. This is not me diminishing what stay at home moms do, because stay at home mom, that job is really hard with your young kids all day, every day, trying to figure out something for them to do, keep them busy, teach them so that they can be ready to go to school. And keep your house in order. Like, that's a lot of responsibility. So maybe Toya still has a survivor mode mindset. But the basic point that I'm getting to with that is needing a partner who is able to offset that, right? That I can relate to that for me in my personal life, because I probably have a strong way of talking, a strong way of showing up, right? And it really would, I can't handle a person who has that same type of personality, that same type of energy. That's going to create this, right? I need somebody who can meet me with the softer part. So I like that Eugene is able to get his wife to come down, start to play pool, or I feel like the pool table is a way that they use. I feel like that was a activity they used. Seemed like they were using the balls to identify their issues, at least in the beginning. He had the gesture as if he was racking, but I was just looking at how he was talking about the points and how he set the balls out, because as he was setting the balls out, I thought to myself, like, I never seen anybody rack that way. And so that's the reason why I thought, oh, maybe the pool table is the buffer for them, in the way that they're able to discuss the issues that they're having with each other. But Eugene, made it clear to her that he did not think that she spoke to him kindly, and he was offended by it. Toya was still kind of standing 10 toes down, in the sense of, I didn't say anything wrong. But Eugene brought up a very valid point, in which, whether you thought you said something wrong or not, the fact that you would expose those things in front of these people that we don't really feel safe with about our marriage, and then you kind of give them this fuel. I will admit, everything that these ladies have, Heavenly specifically, had to say about Toya and Eugene's marriage really has come from what she's given them. It's not something that they have created on their own. And of course, we did see, well, I don't think it was in that scene. Let's move on to the next scene. So, shouts out to Eugene for pulling his wife to the side, or not even to the side, for having that conversation. Big ups to them showing it. I'm sure that there's a conversation that took place that was off camera. But one thing we can give Toya and Eugene, I would admit it, they are very transparent about what's going on in their life, about where their status is. And I like the fact that we can at least see the makeup, like how they got back to the happy family that they are. So shouts out to that. Okay, next up on the stage, we have Miss Brandy. Brandy is our newbie to Married to Medicine this season. Let me tell y'all something real quick about Brandy joining Married to Medicine. I really felt like that was I felt like that was some confirmation, some validation for myself. As you know, she spells her name the same way that I do. But the reason why I think that's some type of confirmation for me is because the secrets, the cat's out the bag. Okay. I actually did audition. I went to a casting call for a reality show that is in my city. And while I don't think that I'm exactly quite ready to be on that reality show for the basis of the women that they're looking for, I am working my way to it. However, I just thought go for it, right? The opportunity was here. And so that 2025 for me was a year of telling myself, yes, you can go forward. And that's what I was doing. So while I was not selected to join the next season of this reality show, Indie Bosses, listen, I'm still going to keep working. I'm still going to keep bossing my way up, which is why I'm here with you today. But back to Brandy. So I'm saying this, when I saw that Brandy was going to be a part of the cast, I just felt like, okay, like I see my name in this arena. And it just kind of felt very mirroring, right? To give me validation a um, on a goal that I had set out for. So listen, delay but not denied. That is the message that I received from that. But Brandy has Mimi and Angel over to her house. Mimi and Angel are both new housewives as well. Angel, excuse me, am I saying Mimi? Mimi is, this is her second season. So Dr. Mimi, but she has them over. She invites them over with their kids. Mimi shows up. She has her daughter, but not her son. Of course, we know her son has ADHD, some behavioral problems, and so she just say, "Hey, when we have play dates with him, it's just him. She can't really handle having him with her daughter and other kids, just trying to keep an eye on everybody." That's totally understandable. Last week we saw a very sweet, candid scene between her husband, and her two children, where we did see her son have a lash out. And they handled it really well. It really softened my heart just to see that, because that has to be something difficult to deal with day in and day out, and try to keep a healthy marriage. So we're gonna send Mimi some prayers over the babies over there. But they discuss Angel's dating life, and they go ahead and discuss Toya's housewarming. The word deflecting was brought up, and so that kind of ushered them right into the conversation about Toya's housewarming, which Mimi says, Toya knows how to deflect very well. Toya went off on her, went off on Brandy heavily. Also, Mimi is still trying to figure out what she did to deserve the cuss out. But she understood that whatever was going on, that was in Toya, and there was nothing that she would be able to do or explain away. So she did just like I did. When Toya started to buck up, she like, I was already gone. She had to put the rest of y'all out, but I was on my way. I was already at the door. And if y'all watch the reviews, when me and Word on the Curb did our review last week, that's exactly what I said. Like, yeah, if I was in that room and that was going on, I'd already been at the door. She would not have had a chance to tell me. And and you also, it'd have been, hold on. I didn't get to tell you because, girl, I'm already out the door. So that was a cute little scene. Nothing too big to discuss. Angel is saying that she wants to date. She feels like she's ready to date, but she has so much on her plate. She hasn't really been able to date. I have a feeling that last relationship she was in probably took her through there, okay? And listen, when you done been through there, you ain't really all that much in a rush to go back in. Can I get an amen? Okay. What's the trend saying? Don't take me through nothing. I done been through enough. I know that's right. All right, so that's where we are with Brandy and her outing with the new housewives. So now let's mosey on over to Miss Simone, Dr. Simone, and Mr. Cecil. Okay, so Simultaneously in these scenes, we see Simone meet up with her sister for some lunch. I don't remember the sister's name. We also see Cecil meeting with his brother at the house in the boom boom room. Okay, he's fixing his brother a drink. We find out that his brother recently moved to Atlanta, so Cecil has been able to hang out with his brother a lot more. That's always nice. It's so funny. I'm gonna tell you, by the time I was moving to Indy, a lot of my, well, not a lot, but a few of my cousins and everything, they were finally moving over to Northwest Indiana, into Gary, Hobart, in that area. And then I upped and moved to Indianapolis. So now I'm in Indy all alone, when I had been in Gary all alone until they came. But life goes on. And also, Cecil's brother is going through a divorce. So they both are simultaneously discussing the event that took place when they had dinner with their sons. And Simone had her big blow up with Michael because Michael is wanting her to pay for law school. He feels entitled that she should pay for law school. And listen, I want y'all to drop down in the comments and tell me, what do you think? Like, should Dr. Simone just blatantly pay for Michael's law school because she's a doctor and she can? Or should that be something that he attempts to do on his own? I think, for me, I think that Simone is just looking for the boys to take a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more ownership. And I think that's where her frustration is coming from. Cecil makes it clear that his stance really about paying for law school. He thinks they should pay for it. He thinks that why did they work so hard? Why did they go to college? Why did they work so hard to get good jobs and to have a lifestyle that would ensure their sons were able to do what they wanted to do? Listen, he told a very emotional story about standing in line at financial aid. And he said he had to stand there for 3 hours at Morehouse, and that's not something he ever wanted his kids to do. He said he remembered kind of saying that my kids are never going to have to stand in this financial aid line. I took issue with that. Not that I don't understand exactly where Cecil is coming from, because I think a portion of that thought process is so very true, right? As African Americans, depending on where you started in your journey, right? I know I didn't have, listen, I've never been rich, but I've been where maybe money wasn't much of an issue. And then I've had a childhood where I didn't have much of anything. And I had to work really hard to, get new shoes, or, just to get something new clothing. Like, I think going school shopping for me was kind of like the highlight, because that was when I was able to get some new clothes, right? I didn't get clothes all through the year. Either way, the reason why I took issue with him having that type of attitude with the financial aid is because that is what it's there for. Like, one thing I will say about any type of aid that you receive is going to feel diminishing to your character, or to your to where you are in life, right? So here's the other part: the kids are not standing in line for 3 hours today. Now, they might stand in line for a little bit, but not for that long, because so much is going on online. That's number one. So even that process has changed drastically. However, why should he not take advantage of something that may be available to him? Now, I don't think you can use financial aid for law school. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't been to post-secondary school, so I am not going to act like I am an expert on what is required. However, what I do think is, and financial aid can be a part of that. Let's say, for instance, you can get financial aid to go to law school. Why shouldn't he? Why? And then maybe he just not take out loans. I think I would be more concerned about the debt that going to school would cause, as opposed to receiving any type of grants or receiving any type of grants. Like if this is your goal, get all the grants that you can. I believe Simone expressed that in that conversation that they had before she blew up. I believe she expressed that, hey, that was how she paid for medical school. She made sure she got scholarships. She made sure she got grants. And so this is where I understand Simone's frustration. And maybe it's a woman thing, right? Maybe it's a mom thing. I understand her wanting to see Michael be more responsible. Get down. And I don't disagree with that. By the time you want to get to law school, I'm gonna need to see what you have to give towards your schooling. Cecil's brother made a great point. He said, if we say we got the money, then we have to agree. And he's 1,000% right. Here's what I'm not here for in that scene. And this is not to diminish any issues that Simone and Cecil may be having as it relates to their marriage, but I'd like to see Simone able to have a conversation with Cecil that explains to him her frustration without her blowing up. I would love to see that take place as opposed to her having these conversations with everybody else, her sister, Jackie, and whoever else she may decide to have that conversation with. All right, so we're gonna move on to Miss Quad. Miss Quad, she got it. She got it. So in this scene with Miss Quad is packing up. Let me read from my note. Quad and King discuss their fertility journey that has led them to Ghana multiple times. So this is the discussion that's taking place. While Quad is packing, King is kind of concerned that, hey, how much longer are we going to do this? I think he wants an end goal. Now, I'm going to drop down in the comments, tell me what y'all feel. I, as a female, have two different thoughts, right? The first thought is, if this is what she wants to do, then let her do it until the goal is met, right? But this is where I understand where King is coming from, because I have the same question in my mind when it comes to Quad and taking this journey all the way to Ghana. You know, it's funny to me that in life, no matter how much things change, they stay the same, right? What I'm saying is, fertility journeys here in the US now are so common that nobody even is afraid to talk about them. We'll go back all the way to maybe first, second season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where Camille outed Adrian for not carrying her son. Adrian had her child by way of surrogate. The child did not know that. And Camille outed her about it. It was taboo. Today, right? That was 10, 15 years ago or so. Today, nobody says boo if somebody decides that they want to use a surrogate. It has become so much more, not just acceptable, but talked about, openly spoken on. And so the same with fertility journeys, right? As sensitive and maybe hard as they are for some, the access to them has become very wide. So the funny thing is with Quad said, I think in the first episode, when we found out they were doing fertility in Ghana, she said she had a friend who just recently had a baby. I think the friend was 46. And did the friend have triplets? I believe the friend, I think she had triplets. And so that's what led. So Quad said, well, you got to give me this doctor's name, right? And that's the doctor over in Ghana. That's who she's going to see. Well, my thought was, okay, so do you want a baby or do you want twins, right? Sometimes, and now this is I I'm not mommy shaming. And hope, because it's not my intention. I hope I'm not womb shaming. Yeah, I made that up. Womb shaming. The reason why I say I hope I'm not womb shaming is because I have 3 children, right? I have 3 children. I had them very easily. I did not have to have any fertility treatments. Pregnancy is difficult for all women. Okay, going through that process. But I did not have any complications with my pregnancy. I, in my mind, had, especially from what I hear from other women, I pretty much had a picture perfect pregnancy all 3 times. And that's not a brag. It's just to sit in a truth of when I have any type of commentary about fertility, I want to be very open about where my idea is coming from, because it's not coming from experience. It's just coming from sharing the anatomy of a woman, sharing the experience of going through pregnancy, and also sharing the experience of actually raising kids, right? I have 3 sons. They are young adults today. And so with that being said, I understand women who get to an age and now the imaginary clock is ticking. I use that in quotation marks. I understand that once you decide, hey, I want to have a baby, right? That becomes your main goal. Hi, thank you for joining. But this is where I started to question, right? It's kind of like, okay, do you want the blessing or do you want it all? And I know as a person of faith, I know that we should have goals that are bigger than what our eyes can see. But I do think that you should be open, right? We want to be open for whatever is supposed to take place, for that to take place. And that may look different than whatever it is your eyes can dream of with that. So I'm questioning Quad to say, you say she wants it all. I'm questioning Quad to say, okay, is it just a baby, or are you wanting to get all 3, like you wanted to get it all out the way? I want a girl and a boy and a sibling, all at the same time. And it feels like you're setting yourself up for some sort of failure. Hey Angela, thank you for joining, girl. I telling them we're gonna be here tonight. I let them know already, but I did just want to get in a little my little small review, right, before we unpack it tonight. So that's where, so with King, you can see he's frustrated, right? And I think that's a male thing too. Men not really fully understanding that process as far as fertility. So like he said in that scene, he's like, well, we thought we would do it once. I didn't realize, what is this, the 3rd or 4th trip that they're going to have eggs removed or whatever the process is, because I'm not well versed in that either. But I can imagine that it's straining on finances. Fertility in general is straining on finances. I can imagine going over to Ghana makes that times 2. Okay. And so we see Kwai have this moment of just kind of saying, well, she really wants a baby, which I thought that was really strange too, because we watched her not, right? We watched Dr. G really kind of plead for one, and we watched her be very adamant about not wanting to have a baby. Understandably, right? That she didn't want to have a baby because they had a toxic relationship. Um, But I find it very ironic that she's in this relationship with this guy and they're not married, they're not engaged, but they've already started this fertility journey. And I do think a lot of that probably went fast forward, not just because of Quad's age, but I think because King has a daughter already. And I'll tell you what, if he's a good dad, um, I could understand I can understand your desire to want to have a child with him increase when you watch him with his own daughter. Um, but I do think you're doing things out of order. And I don't know that anything, let me say this. I don't know if you receive all the blessings that you want when you do things out of order. That's just that. And that's probably a lot of my faith talk speaking, because I do believe in order. I believe in order in all things, right? That's probably why it's taken me so long to really put all that I need to put into my business, because I'm looking for the order of the way that my business needs to be ran, because order is everything. Without order there is chaos. And when you do things out of order, you'll get the blessings, but I think the blessings are temporary. That's a great way to put it. So yeah, I would love to see her move in a more structured order form, maybe. And so King made a great point as well to say, like, hey, we met, fell in love, we get out the honeymoon stage, and now bam, we right into the fertility part of it. Even as a young couple, let's say a young couple gets married. I'll use my son for example, because my son just got married in November. We went to Punta Cana. Yay. Congratulations to him. And congratulations to me, because I got a new son, even though he always been my son, but still. Anyway, the point that I'm making is I think it's always a good idea to want, like, once you have married, for you two to spend some time together, getting to know the dynamics of this marriage before you go ahead and add in another factor like a baby. Because I can say it for my own self with my relationship with my kids' sons. Excuse me, my son's dad. But having a baby in your relationship is going to change everything. And so you really want to make sure that that guy is who he is and the stand up person before you go and do it. Like, having a baby does not make your relationship more sustainable. And it feels to me like that's what Quad is doing. That's it and that's that. Now, let me throw this little tea out here, because this is just my little spidey senses. I don't know if they playing games with us, because you know Quad like to play games. But I got the feeling they're not together anymore. Now, I have my reasons, and a lot of them are public, right? They didn't seem to spend holidays together. I didn't see any photos with them anyway. And right now, Quad is out in Ghana right now, or maybe Nigeria. I believe they're in Ghana because they have citizenship there, but she in Ghana with Angel and Yandy. And we know Yandy and Mendices are through, because Mendices just went on the podcast and very much verified the information. Like, hey, they've been done for about a year. They are not together. We already knew that they weren't legally married. That's not new news. Maybe it's new news to, I don't know, somebody who just started watching in the last 10 years, but it's not new to us. So with that being said, I got the feeling that they're not together anymore. And I got the feeling that they probably not together anymore because of the strain of this fertility journey. I'm not proposing to say that I know it all, but I know a lot. And I do think that that was a lot of pressure to put on a new guy, especially, and then you threw him on TV. It was a lot of pressure, you know what I mean? But Quad wanted to make sure that she got the one up on Sweet Tea, and there you have it. Sweet Tea can't have a baby, and you can't either. The only one who missed out on that one is Dr. G, right? Because now you want to, and now you got to find a partner to do it with. Okay. So let's move on. Okay, so We are back where with Simone and Toya, they are meeting up to have an event for all of the ladies. They're gonna make their own purses. Toya done brought that same bag over. Let me go get it because I got the bag too, y'all. I got the bag too. You know what? That's funny. Okay, can I do have the bag, but it is packed up already, y'all. I'm in the process of moving. Anyway, so I packed it up already, but everybody on Amazon got that bag with the B. Okay, here's the thing. I don't know what the big deal is about this lady carrying this bag. I don't know why Toya feel the need to constantly say like, "I brought this fake bag. Whose fake bag is this?" Simone lets her know that she didn't think Dr. Heavenly meant anything by what she said in the text. So there's a text thread um, that the ladies are in, right? All of the housewives, I believe, have a group text, but we usually are not very privy to it because it's for them. However, Toya decided to pull this out her bag. And it's funny because Dr. Heavenly is a friend of this season, but y'all keep pulling her in the main character energy or the main character storyline. So here we are. Father's Day. So Toya sends a message to the ladies about how blessed she was, how blessed she is for her husband and her sons, and she wanted to make sure that they sent a happy Father's Day to all of their men. Heavenly responded in that text thread that she should make sure she says that to Eugene, and Toya took it offensively, and so Simone is trying to tell her, like, well, I don't think she meant it that way. I think she was really being sweet. Listen, I agree with Heavenly because by the time Heavenly gets there and they do get down to it, Toya asks, I mean, Simone says that, and Heavenly kind of seconds it, like, well, no, I didn't mean anything by it. Like, I'm pretty upfront. If I meant something, I would say it. I would have to agree with that when it comes to Heavenly. I think, but I can agree with Mimi, because Mimi and Heavenly is riding in the car together on their way to this event, and they're having the same discussion about this text thread. And so Heavenly is giving Mimi some backstory, like why she even decided to respond and send it to her. She said, "You should say that to your husband, preferably on camera." For me, it sounded like advice. It didn't sound like a snapback. Because again, we just left this filming in which you really did make Eugene look like this big. You know, I don't know if it's okay. If anybody's gonna do it, I guess your spouse should be able to do it, but it's a no go for me. Anyway, so Heavenly is wanting to explain to Mimi because a lot of these ideas and the reason why she said it, Mimi wasn't there for it, right? She wasn't there for the biscuit comment, and when she threw the biscuit at him, she wasn't there for her like shutting him down mid sentence and telling him to shut up. Like she wasn't there for those moments. And that goes back to what I said at the top. A lot of the opinions that anybody has, they have them because of what you've given, right? They're not pulling them out the sky. All right. So everybody does show up. Oh, excuse me, let me go back. So Mimi actually tells Heavenly, like, hey, okay, maybe you didn't mean anything by it, but y'all just had this disagreement. Like, you're not the person she wants to hear that from. And you're right. You know, sometimes we do have to use our discernment and say, like, okay, I might have the message, but I may not be the right messenger. I'm like Dr. Heavenly, I'm usually going to get it out and I don't care. maybe, maybe we'll see. Um, So all the ladies arrive. They find out that they're gonna be making their own handbags. Toya taking some more jabs about, yeah, I wanted to see if she could be able to tell this real bag from a fake bag. I figured, you know, like the leather place was the best place to do it. The lady who is over this event, who I guess owns the company that does this, She says, no, we using all real leather. And Toya says, well, they're not used to that in this group with her Chanel tank top on. Okay. I am so sick of Toya. I am so sick of Toya and these labels. The reason why I'm so sick of Toya and these labels is really because I don't see I don't see the point in making it a big deal if somebody isn't wearing labels, but they can afford them. It does, and here's the thing: as I got that out of my mouth, it don't make sense to make fun of somebody who can't afford it, right? If you can't afford it, you know why they're not carrying it, and if they can afford it, there's a reason why they're not carrying it, right? The reason generally would be they don't really have the same value in it as you do. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna give y'all an example about me with my trips. Like I like to. So funny thing is, I say this like I'm just a natural jet setter, honey. I have to plan these trips well in advance, but I have really gotten very um addicted to flying out of the country, right? And I mean going to another place, and I love cruises. So, going to that place, getting on the boat, and then going to see a couple other places. Like it just does something to me. And I love being able to see new places. Either way, the most question that most asked question that I get about any trip that I have taken is how much does it cost? And let me tell y'all another thing too. I don't like those types of questions. It depends, like, because I may ask my good girlfriends or somebody I'm kind of close to. I don't randomly ask people how much they pay for something. I kind of either you let me know how to get to the information, or I might already have a good idea of it. But I don't really ask people what things cost. And here's the reason, back to what we're saying with Heavenly, again, would somebody say, well, how much did it cost to go to Greece? How much did it cost for the Greece cruise? And or was it expensive? That's the kind of the word. Was it expensive? And it's like, well, that depends on what you think the expensive is, right? That varies from person to person. One person might think spending $4,000 to do something is nothing. Another person might think that's way too much. I look at it this way. Have you ever taken a family to Disney? You know how much money it costs to go to Disney for real? And I'm talking like I'm gonna talk about when I took my three boys. Like, you know how much it costs us to take that week in Florida? And we only went to one park. We only went to one park. Okay. Imagine having a family that went to all four parks: Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Universal, SeaWorld. What's the one with the safari? By the time a family gets done with a trip from Florida, they've spent a good 5,000. And that's on the low side. That's on the low end. And that is even if they have a timeshare, right? We're gonna give them a timeshare with that. So I mean that to say it's about a person's mindset about what they can do with their money, about how far their money go. That's the way I see it, right? That's why some people don't value some things as much as other people, right? Some people don't see the value in handbags. They don't see them as investments. I kind of agree I like handbags, but I think that there's a limit to what I would buy and what I would get with a handbag. No matter how much money I had in my account, there's only so much money that I'm going to spend on a bag that I'm carrying around. Because here's the other part: I'm not buying something and holding it in my closet. I'm for sure going to carry it. So, yeah, there's a level of of the value we see in what we're spending and what we're getting. And I think that Toya doesn't understand that, because I think Toya's goal had always been to get to where you are in these places. You shopping at Neiman's, you shopping at Nordstrom's, like and listen, I I understand it. I couldn't wait to go buy something out of Neiman Marcus. Now, what I got up out of there wasn't what I really wanted to go in there and get, but I felt kind of good walking through Neiman Marcus, going to the Chanel counter. Okay, you looking for heat up under my arm? Oh, there you go. Went underneath the couch. Yeah, he be going in the little pocket right there. He don't do too much up under there. I don't care. Well, not yet. Anyway, sorry, y'all. Um, so I'm saying, like, I understand, because when you like, there is some sort of aspiration, right? So when you are in those spaces, and when you seeing people, and there's some sort of aspiration that goes on. I grew up in Chicago. Michigan Avenue was the thing. Everybody wants to shop on Michigan Avenue. Like, people will go visit from Gary, Indiana, to go shop on Michigan Avenue, right? It gives you some sort of opulence or something. So I feel like Toya is really, really stuck. Her mindset is stuck there. And that's okay. Like, I don't think that makes her less of anything. I just think people had different priorities. Her priority is labels. And that's what it is. I don't think somebody would have had to give me that Chanel tank top as a gift. I don't think that would be as much. And I love the brand Chanel. Like, but would I buy a t-shirt just because it got Chanel written on it? Girl, no. I might call up my girl and have her make me one. Mm-hmm. Go up and down the Magnificent Mile, right? Like, that was a thing. Is still today. It is a thing. Just going like I ain't never bought nothing out of Louis Vuitton, but I've been inside the store. Why? Because it's on Michigan Avenue. Going to Tiffany. Like, I was going to get my first Tiffany necklace was like, with something, I don't know, buying my best friend her first Tiffany bracelet. I felt really good doing that, right? But here's what I value. I value value. I like things of value, but I also want to be able to appreciate the value. So Tiffany is one of those. Tiffany is one of my favorite jewelry stores, which sounds funny, but I don't want a diamond from Tiffany, right? You go get me a Tiffany from a certified diamond dealer, because I understand the difference. Not that Tiffany don't have great diamonds, but don't you give me nothing where the place can't ensure their own stuff. That's a nugget for you. Goes to show you, I spend too much time in Tiffany. Window shopping. QN 50 Cent, okay? Because you was a window shopper. Window shop all the time, y'all. I window shop all the time. No lies detected. I have at least one something from any type of designer that I would want to buy something from. At least one something that I would like to have. And for me, that is the value. If I'm able to get the doctor bag, that duffel, that small duffel, I think it's called a doctor bag. I'm almost sure. From Louis Vuitton. I remember my mother had one when I was young. I thought it was the cutest thing. And again, I looked up to my mom in that way. So that it just always stuck with me. And that's the only thing. Oh, and a Louis Vuitton carry-on. I always wanted a Louis Vuitton carry-on. So, but outside of those two items, I don't really want nothing else from Louis Vuitton. Like, yeah, I don't really want nothing else from Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton is not that attractive. Brown on brown. I'm just saying. Chanel for me is a dream to be able to go get. Now, I could see myself with Chanel glasses. I already have a pair of Chanel glasses, but that's what I got from Chanel. But some glasses, of course, handbags. My idea of Chanel is that it is very classic, right? What does classic mean to me? Classic mean you buy it this year and you're gonna have it for years to come. It gets vintage, right? You know what I mean? Like those are the things we looking for. Toya don't know nothing about that. So I done spent enough time on that because I like how my girl on TikTok said Heavenly gave good advice. However, sending it in the group text was not the best idea. That's correct. Right, she didn't. That's right. It was the messenger. But what she did when Toya pulled out that bag again, and she went back to reiterate how the bag was fake. Heavenly said, "Well, I got a portfolio. I got multiple businesses. I have multiple properties. And even though it sounds like you trying to be mean, no, that's not being mean. That's telling the truth because." How do rich people stay rich? They don't spend. Ding, 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 ding. You know what I'm saying? Like, duh. Like, it's everybody else that spends that loses their money. And so Toya has that mindset has not caught up with her just yet. And so we're gonna see Toya win every label that she can, as much as she want. And listen, if she can afford it, more power to you. But I don't think it's a good idea to keep trying to, like dangle in your castmate's face, like, oh, you don't have a real, Hermes. Where's your Hermes bag? Like, girl, because they can have one if they want it. So wear your bag, wear it proudly, and move on. Or go back to your neighborhood with that shit. Okay, so look, I just got a message on my teams saying one of the girls said she just got so my manager, y'all know I work from home, okay. So my manager, or excuse me, director that's over the department sent us out emails yesterday and said that we should be getting something from Amazon. We should be getting a treat from Amazon. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Because, baby, you could have put that in my damn bank account. You didn't need my address, honey. You just could. You already got the routing number and the account number added to that. But anyway, look, beggars can't be choosers. So she just got on and let us know that it is food. Oh, so y'all, you mean to tell me they gonna send me a bag of nuts? Look, y'all. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel because if that wasn't nothing to let me know I cannot do this anymore, that is. My job gonna send me a bag of nuts for the holidays? Lord. Back to it. Okay. I don't even have nothing to say. Like, what? Okay, back to it. So the ladies pick out their fabrics. They start to, do their cutting and everything. Look, the bags that we saw at the end, they made some really good bags. I want to find a place where I can go make my own bag. I wouldn't mind that. I'm not a handbag whore. Again, I don't have enough money to go buy Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Chanel, none of the things. Would I love a Chanel bag? Absolutely. It would look the same. That little quilted bag like everybody else got, it would look the same like that because that is a classic bag. I would not get anything that was trendy. That would be the word. I wouldn't do the trendy stuff because I would want my bag to last from decade to decade, which would be the point and why you would want to spend the type of money that you spend on a handbag. Let me see. Oh, y'all, I forgot. Let's put. Oh, I don't have Contessa. Let me see. Where is Contessa? Do I got Contessa? I surely don't. Contessa, I gotta find your photo. But baby, she show up to the purse making event, and she is in a blue sequence dress, honey. It looked like she is ready for her Dream Girls audition. Like she is going to Broadway or something. And Angela, what do I tell you about Contessa every single time? Contessa gets it wrong every single time. Now listen, y'all talk and say what y'all want to about Dr. Heavenly, but I agree with her about it. Contessa is a pretty girl. She just don't know what to do with it. She needs to hire her a stylist. She needs to hire her a stylist because, baby, every time you show up, we looking at you like, now where are you going? Where are you going, girl? She is always out of place. Poor thing. Mrs. Try Too Hard. When I'm telling you, she try too hard and she gonna mollywop herself into a scene. However way she can get up in that scene, she gonna make sure she in the scene. But I just hate the poor baby can't dress. And that confessional outfit, like Lord, it was so she done outed Scott about being the hookup man, okay? About being the purse man. That's what we're gonna call it. Now everybody knows, like, listen, if you 40 and over, you know about the purse man. I'm gonna tell y'all what, and this back in my 20s, I have purchased a knockoff Coach bag, and that thread started to come up off my bag, and I said, "Oh no, I won't. Oh no, I won't." Again, I value value. I value value. You can go get a bag out of Macy's that's made out of genuine leather. You know what I mean? Like, come on, we're not gonna play, but you have to know what you're buying into, which that's what I think Toya is missing. Toya is buying into the presentation. That's what she's bought into, the presentation, but she doesn't have enough information about what she's buying to know the value of what she is including herself in, what she's buying into. That's the better way to put it. She don't know what she's buying into. It's kind of like this TikTok thing. You know, I can't wait to get on my engagement live and, you know, kind of start to talk to y'all about a lot of the things that's being promoted there that we buy into without really knowing what the value is of what it is we're doing. So anyway, what else was I before I went there? Okay, so let's just move on because I can't remember out of that after that. Now the guys are meeting up with at the same time while the ladies are at their purse making class. All the husbands meet up over Scott's house. Scott got a chef in. Eugene is happy to not be the one that is asked to cook. I really want to taste some of Eugene's cooking because, baby, everybody loved it, honey. Look, they're like, you ain't cooking? Like, do I even want this shit? Which is really a nice compliment to Eugene, I think. You know, not necessarily just like it's like you using him to be the cook all the time, but you enjoy his cooking, you know. So they discuss the building. Eugene brings up the building to Scott, you know, lets him know, like, yeah, they're not going to take it. They're looking for something else. And then they start to discuss some of the issues between the wives. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Here go my note again. Back to Contessa confessing that Scott was the purse man. Says he had given her a fake bag. Now let me tell y'all. So like I said, I purchased one. I may have purchased two. Like that, like I said, I had a knockoff Louis Vuitton duffel bag, and listen, and then I had the Coach bag, and the knockoff Louis Vuitton duffel bag, I traveled on my first cruise with that. By the time we was getting back, there was a tear in my bag. That's when I knew, like, because even when you talking knockoff, now listen, I know that duffel ain't cost nearly as what it would have cost in Louis Vuitton. However, I still paid $100 for it, and so I expected it to last, and I expected it to last past my trip. But for me to have a tear in it, you know, on my first trip, the first time carrying it, I was like, oh, hell no. Same thing with the Coach bag. The threading started to thread in the stitching and the handles, and I just thought, this is raggedy. You know what I mean? Like, this is just raggedy. And so I vowed that I would never buy a knockoff. Again, for me, it's about the value. It had nothing to do with whether somebody else knew it was knockoff or not. I just didn't think I should pay $100 for something that tore up. Yeah. You can't do better than that? Okay. I'll take my regular bag. Same with the Coach bag. I had to walk my tail in Coach so I can figure out, okay, Coach, I tell everybody all the time, Coach for me is my number one. I got my first Coach bag when I was in high school. Thank you to my auntie. She bought me a at the time the little backpack purses were very popular, so I got a Coach backpack with the slim wallet. The slim wallet was very popular too. You know, everybody had the Coach slim wallet. And what I realized is that Coach was affordable luxury. It still had luxury detail, right? Luxury detail, but the price is affordable. So much so, I decided to go work at Coach so I could get me a couple more Coach bags. So that is where my Coach collection has come from, just so you know. Because that 50% off discount, everything, okay? So look, that's another nugget for y'all. Listen, y'all need a little part-time job. Go work at one of them stores that's giving you a good discount so you can go and get you some of that. Because that's another thing. Listen, if Nordstrom's, Saks, well, now they got Nordstrom Rack. I ain't never been in Nordstrom Rack. I said I was gonna go, and they got one right down the street from me too. I said I was gonna go check them out. But listen, those high-end places, any ones that ever do have some sort of, I don't know if sale is the right word, but if they got anything that they marking down, that's when you really want to shop with them, because baby, they have the best markdowns. Okay. Listen, remember I told y'all, make sure you liking and subscribing to this channel. Remember I told y'all, because I drop a lot of little nuggets in these reviews. Okay. Anyway, so he's contestant said that's the way Scott paid his way through medical school, but though by selling off the knockoffs. And okay, we hope she's not getting him in trouble. Let's hope by next week, honey, Scott ain't being pulled up on charges. Scott ain't being pulled up on charges for selling counterfeit merchandise, okay? But listen, if those people can sell it right on the streets of New York, I don't think nobody got too much to worry about. Because the truth of the matter is, if you cared about anybody selling some knockouts, you know exactly where they are. I don't think they hide very much. My son went to New York his junior year, or was it his sophomore year? He went to New York with the band, and he came back with a knockoff Gucci wallet. It was hilarious. Oh, I thought it was so funny. Was it Gucci or Louis Vuitton? One or the other. I think it was Louis Vuitton. Let me take it back. But yeah, he came back with a knockoff. And look, a true New York experience is what I thought. Like, oh, you found you a nice wallet. Cool. All right. So the guys eventually end up getting around to what happened at the housewarming party, right? Because Eugene started to bring up with the guys, he's kind of like, listen, like the wives sometimes have these things to say about me. They're very emasculating and they hurtful, you know. He said there's a text thread about a purse, and all of a sudden it's, well, your husband has a small penis, you know. Rightfully so. How did I get in this? You know what I mean? And he's right. Heavenly was out of line for that. But and so the guy starts, so of course Damon ain't about to say nothing bad about her, about his wife. He don't care if she did do it wrong. He about to turn the other way and let you know, like, honey, that's something you're gonna have to deal with on the back end, because I didn't see a damn thing. But it opened up the door for Curtis to kind of come in and really express that there's this air of what we've seen, the way that you guys communicate with each other, like we don't have that same communication, and so it makes people uncomfortable at times. And then it gives them a idea that they can have an opinion about what it is that they saw. And I think that's true. It happened right in front of you. You know what I mean? So that it would be absurd for something like that to go down in front of you that you saw with your own two eyes, and you wouldn't think, have a thought about what you just saw. You know, Dr. Mimi said that I think last week when she was leaving, like, how you gonna get mad at me about what I just saw in my face? That's right. Um, so I think Curtis did a really good job, because Damon for me was more like not about to touch it, and he was about to turn that thing right back around pretty much until you like, hey, go tell somebody who give a damn, because I don't. But thankfully, Curtis came in, honed that in, and was able to get Eugene to understand where some of those opinions might be coming from. That the call is coming from inside the house. That, you know, I thought that whole leader thing was a bit much. I didn't think that it was as soft as she thought it was. Like, what? I should be able to tell my husband he should be a leader. Yeah, when y'all in private, maybe you shouldn't be able to tell your husband be a leader in front of, you know, the whole. Yeah, I mean, unless the only way unless there was something happening and you were cheering him on, like, lead that group. That's right, baby, you go. That wasn't the sentiment that was said in. It was, can you please be a leader? It was very condescending, very acting like you talking to your child. Because listen, and then so that's why I say I appreciate Eugene for really having the type of disposition that he does have. Because if he didn't, could you imagine how left that could have went with a man who had a different type of disposition? Like, who the F do you think you talking to? And you wouldn't have had to worry about kicking nobody out, because I'm going to get it done. I'm about to get it started. Everybody hit the door, because I got some shit to take care of right here. It's could you imagine, you know? So going back to like, and that, I guess that's where they're saying like men only do what you let them get away with kind of come from, because there's a reason why she feels like she can speak to him that way. And it is something like he ain't going nowhere. It's something like that. I think if you I'll bring myself into this conversation again. I remember when I was younger, I always thought a lot about how I responded to people, because I have abandonment issues. And so most of the time when it was somebody I enjoyed, like, I mean, my boyfriend, whatever, I was very careful about the way I spoke to them, because I didn't want to say something that, you know, would make them go away, basically, piss them off, you know. And I know sometimes I like, because it's not on purpose. This might, I don't mean to make a joke out of autism, but the only thing I'm gonna say is that I think a lot of us probably do have it, but there was not a name to it, and there was not an outlet to go find out about it. So you just ended up growing up, and you know, you was a little strange. You just really didn't talk the way that everybody else did, and your understanding wasn't the same as everybody else. Even though you might have got to the same understanding, the way you got there was different. I've gone through that my whole life. And it's just, it wasn't until I got to mid 20s, maybe even early 30s. And even with that, I had to work a lot harder to accept myself for the differences that I had in my understanding, in my language, you know. And now I can see the difference between the people who are around me, right? So what I understand today, I have used this analogy before. What I understand today, I say this all the time. My mom has said to me, she said, you know, you're really difficult to talk to. Like, I just won't forget it, because this is the energy for me. She said, you're really difficult to talk to. And I think it was because I wasn't agreeing with what was being presented to me. And so I said, well, if I'm difficult to talk to, we don't have to talk. You know, like that is the answer. If I'm difficult to talk to, we don't have to talk. And so what I realized for me is the people who are my people, they don't find it difficult to talk to me. Even if I'm saying something that is blunt, they don't find offense in it, you know, because they know me and they know my heart. And so they understand what is being shared, right? I decided that I no longer will share space and time with people who I have to convince of who I am, convince of what my heart is. Um, yeah, because sometimes when you get to that moment, people have already made up in their mind who you are. And there is no convincing. And so with that was the reason, not to be disrespectful to my mother at all. I never in my wildest dreams would I ever purposefully be disrespectful to my mother ever. But what I will do is speak up for myself, and what I will do is stand in a healing, truthful space. And so that was all that was. It was, hey, we don't have to talk if that's what the case is, right? And I think that's the answer. Um, so back to the text message. So we back with the ladies finishing it up because now this whole thing go left. I think Heavenly was trying to smooth things over with Toya. And that did not work as well as she wanted it to. So we back at the text message where Toya pulls it out. She's like, you know, read her side, read what Heavenly said. She's, you know, doubling down like, why would you say that? You were saying it as a dig. Brandy decided to jump on the bandwagon. What you doing? Brandy say, well, yeah, that was a little shady. I didn't think it was shady at all. Inappropriate, yes. But I think that Heavenly is an inappropriate person. See, that's going back to when you know somebody. Like, inappropriate can be different than malicious and mean. You know what I mean? Somebody can be inappropriate without being mean and without being hurtful. And so I feel like that's where that was from. And I think that the whole on camera was I think that should have been the like softness she needed to well, again, it was Heavenly, and she was already deciding that she don't want no advice from Heavenly. That didn't I just say that? When people make their mind up about you, that just is what it is. So her mind is made up about Heavenly, and there is not any advice Heavenly can give her, which I think Heavenly just needs to keep that in mind. But I think Heavenly is always going to share her opinion, and that just is what it is. Um, so for me, I think the text message is more out of context because this is a private message that's been or private. Yeah, it's a private, not just a private message. That's a private group thread, and so bringing it up on camera, it does feel like you are trying to expose her in some way, and I don't know what way that is because we've been watching Heavenly for a long time. I think we pretty much got Dr. Heavenly and who she is, right? And I'm just gonna say this and end with this one. I find that Toya seems to be poking at Heavenly because I think that she wants Heavenly to do something and to say something that would make her run for this seat like not desirable. And I think that's low hanging fruit. But we're talking about Toya, right? We're talking about the girl who um, thinks everybody should have labels because they can afford them. I think that's what it is. Like she feels like if you can't get it, why wouldn't you get it? And again, it's really just because she doesn't have any value. Do we see Eugene walking around in a lot of designer? Because I wonder what she buying her husband. Anyway, that's all I got, y'all. Listen, I told y'all me and Word on the Curb. That's Miss Angela. We will be live tonight at 9 p.m. Okay. We will be live tonight at 9 p.m. We will be reviewing both Real Housewives of Potomac and Married to Medicine. You can also catch us on Wednesday to discuss Love and Marriage Huntsville. All right. Toya, get your shit together, girl. Like, I really think superficial. There we have it. Superficial. Look, y'all, I'm about to end this live, but I'm going to come up with, I want to do some housewife awards of my own. Housewives awards. And one of the categories is going to be most superficial. There we go. The next category is going to be biggest disappointment. You know, it's good. It sucks that it had to take another 6 years, honey. But I know Claudia is somewhere thanking God because she has gotten herself out of that biggest disappointment category. I'm gonna say it. She got it. She not even. I'm gonna put her in the nominations, but for me, she is not the winner. But that's what we're gonna do. Biggest disappointment. Let's see. All right. So that's all I got, y'all. What are you rating this week's episode of Married to Medicine? I am rating this week's episode. I'm giving it a 7. It's cruising on along. Nothing really exciting. Too much happened. I do give Toya props about being probably one of the most transparent, right? Transparent about what's going on. But I also think that being transparent sometimes can backfire, as we saw with last week's episode and her outbursts with her husband. Um, I think I don't think Eugene deserves that. And much like I say when it comes to Marceau with Love and Marriage Huntsville, even Damon, you know what I mean? Not very often do we get a chance to see men operate in that particular type of space, right? Where you're not watching them get aggressive, you're not watching them raise their voice, you're not watching them do just kind of mean things to their wife in anger. Like you actually are able to look at men operate in male energy. And it's funny, the audience can be very telling about what their exposure is because for you not to be able to acknowledge and see these men operating in the space that you should desire for your partner to operate in that space and to be able to do it consistently. It just really shows how lacking we are of just good male role models, good male energy. um and women just not understanding what it means to be in a male energy. I don't think male energy is it's not always aggressive or yeah, and masculine energy is not always aggressive. Masculine energy, that meeting a guy that would be a dream of mine, a guy who can stay even keel, you know what I mean? Like not necessarily don't have emotions because that's different. But being able to stay in an even space while even expressing your emotions is heaven sent, especially for an emotional woman, which that's so funny. That's why Dr. Heavenly got Damon, because that's her balance. And that's why Toya has Eugene. So Toya, spend a little more time appreciating your husband and a little less time worrying about these labels that these ladies got. Let them be, and you keep your eyes on the prize. All right, y'all. That's all I got. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I will be giving you much more like this because y'all heard me. My job just sent me a bag of nuts for the holidays. A bag of nuts. I got to be a bag of nuts for continuing to clock into here. What I do know for sure, and this is a goal of mine for 2026, or this is an affirmation for 2026. I won't be working for another person's company. So where I work right now, this is it until I'm able to get my business up and off the ground and put myself on my own payroll. That's the goal. All right, y'all. I got so much more to come back with. I got so many more videos that we're gonna do, podcasts that we're gonna do. I want to do some interviews. So just make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification button. And make sure you drop down in the comments. Let me know you was here. I love to see it. Okay, y'all. Bye.